jump into a new section of the conference, which is the panel section, in which we're going to have the different speakers that just have their conversations, their talks with you for answering all your questions. We, in fact, already collected some of them, so we're going to go through each one of them. But this is also the moment in which you can ask all of those. And by the way, in the next section, in case you want to take a break and just go for some snacks, like in the kitchen because we're at home, the next block of speakers are Ana Sidre, Manfred Staya, and Aaron Frost. So just stay tuned, and let's start with the panel. I think Majid is gonna bring them in. Amazing, good to have you all here. I think John is gonna join in a second. So in the meantime, I would like to remind you, first of all, that we have people connected from Italy as well. I'm sorry, I forgot about you, but that's good. That's good to see you here. There is around 1,000 people still connected, 940. So keep the good vibes. Number two, remember we have song contests happening already, and I already saw a nice meme somebody did of me. So that's cool. That's fine. I love it. Remember, use the hashtag #BeGaBiking and then share your best meme, your best biking costume, where are you connected from in the most creative way. All of that will give you a prize. Okay. So yeah, let's go through the questions. In the meantime, I think John is going to join anytime, so that's fine. Let's see. So I guess one of the questions I have for here, I think it's for Martina. Martina, one of the persons in the chat asked, should features include the question mark or not?
The question mark. If there are, yes, because they could be optional as well. Because the question mark behind this feature means it's optional, right? So I guess it should definitely include it. Yes, because they should be optional. Yes, they should be optional. You don't have to necessarily use them. So yes.
All right. Good. Another question. TTMA 1046 is asking, what is the value of discussing something that it's internal? Why should people care about internal parts of Angular?
Yeah, well, you can separate the whole metadata logic from the business logic, basically. So what I consider as metadata logic is, for example, subscription management. I don't want to have in my I just don't want to have consider the unsubscribing manually, even if it's like a take until pattern or like a normal unsubscription pattern, which I would not suggest. So I always would suggest a take until pattern if you want to use it. So this is something like metadata. You have to do it in every single component that you're subscribing to an observable again and again. So this is metadata programming. So I would just love to have that just apply, just tell the component, I want to use this feature, and I can focus on my business logic that needs to be implemented in the component.
Absolutely. Another question we have for John Papa. Badik Horbonos is asking, I wonder if the VS Code tour content is stored in the project and may be available to IntelliJ at some point.
That's a good question. So the person who develops the Code Tour extension actually is on the Microsoft team who develops many of the features in Live Share and Code Spaces and a bunch of other features too. I believe that his name is Jonathan Turner, and I believe what he's doing is he's storing those as files inside the project. So if those things do evolve, there's no reason that IntelliJ or ReSharper or other tools couldn't tap into these. What I'd really like to see, though, is GitHub tapping into them. Imagine going to a GitHub repo and then being able to run the Code Tour right inside the web. So to me, that's what I get excited about. And right now, to be honest, it's all very beta phase. So new features are coming out almost daily.
Absolutely. Cool. We had a kind of a quirky, interesting question. John, apparently people really appreciate your content and your talks. And somebody asked how to be as cool as John Papa. I will probably portray that question in terms of how can you be more charismatic if you're a developer out there that wants to engage more with audiences and with communities? Perhaps how can you do that?
The hardest thing to do is to do it the first time. The first time you go out and speak somewhere is very difficult. I bet you Martina and Devlin can appreciate that too, right? The first time you go out there and you do it, there's a lot of butterflies in your stomach and you're nervous and you're not sure what's going to happen and you're saying and so and and you're rubbing your head, and don't worry about it. My first time speaking was about as bad as it could ever possibly be. I'll tell you very quickly what happened to me is before I went on stage, I was at a company, 150 people were going to listen to me talk. I went into the men's room, washed my hands. The sink was like a fire hose. It hit the sink and splashed all over my pants. I had to go on in 2 minutes, and it looked like I had literally just made a huge mess of myself. So if I can get through that, believe me, you can get through anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. I heard that Warbell also had an interesting story about this, but that's not necessary to share. Let's move on. So I'm going to check the comments to see if there are some questions for you. Martina Kraus, where can I find the Theta, the symbol on my keyboard?
So basically, I mean, you can just basically Google it. In the meantime, I don't even remember the shortcut anymore because I put it as an alias on my keyboard. But basically, you can just Google it. I remember on the Mac, I had to press 4 keys or so, 3 or 4 keys for getting this Theta sign. But as I said, in the meantime, I don't remember it. To be real honest anymore, maybe John or Devlin remembers it because I just had it as an alias. Maybe one short note to the Theta sign, what it means and why is it actually there. This Theta sign means that these functions are not public yet. And I heard a rumor that the Angular team introduced this Theta sign because it looks like a stop sign. So it's more like a stop sign of, hold on, it's not ready yet. It can still change in the future and future releases. And we have even like Ivy instructions with a double Theta. That means never, ever, it will never, ever be eventually released publicly.
Okay. Nice. I didn't know that.
So maybe John or Devlin, do you know the keys right now? Because as I said, I don't remember it actually.
No, I Google it. I do exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay, moving on. We have another question open for any speaker who want to take it. Can someone explain to me what are injection token and what the injector is in general? He says that, or she says, we all get no provider errors, and I want to learn how to solve these issues in a correct way. Where to look at?
I think that's 3 questions.
Yes.
Right? What's the injector token? What's the injector? And then how do you solve the no provider error? I'll take the last one. You guys can take the others if you want. The no provider error is generally because you're using a service inside of another service or a component, and it doesn't find it in the injector. What does that mean? It means that you didn't use the provided in root, for example, in the syntax for one of your services, the one that's not found. So when do you want to take what the injector is or the tokens?
I mean, there's also the questions regarding what is the correct way. So where I should inject my services and where should I provide them. You have a couple of ways, but what I suggest to always avoid is to provide them inside the providers array of the Angular module, because then your services are not tree shakeable anymore. And I love tree shaking, as you already remembered so many times. So the usual way is that in your injector, injectable direct decorator, when you create a service via the CLI, it's already like provided in root. And this is the way to go. But since Angular 8, right? 8. We have this platform, any and platform. Also like that you can provide on different kind of levels, but provide it in that way and not like inside the providers area, I would suggest. Devlin, I'm pretty sure you like to add something as well.
Oh yeah, you already mentioned all the things that I'm going to say. So just to add, um, nothing so much.
What are you doing when you get an error like that? What are your sources you are searching for?
Like error specifically.
Like the snow
Doing,
injector error, yes. But like, are you reading the docs or what?
oh
What
yeah,
are you?
definitely. Mhm. Set a debugger and read the errors. That's the most important thing there. You have to read the errors. You have to understand what it's telling, because the Angular team did a lot of things to really help developers in their toolings, in their debugging. The CLI itself, the console it throws, everything is already there. And then if you can't figure it out, you can just copy it and paste it in Google. So normally that's what we do. And then most of the time you'll see the answer on top of the searches. You paste the error there.
All right. We have another question for you, Devlin. Apparently, somebody liked your presentation and your code so much that it's asking if you are going to provide a repo later on for your presentation. Is there a repo available?
Yeah, I think it's included in my slides.
Okay.
Usually
Okay.
they can just watch the replay of this
Okay.
live streaming. Yeah, it's there, all the three, the NGRX, the NGXS, and the Akira repo. Actually, I got that idea from John Papa, the heroes,
Really?
the heroes in the VLANs, repository of different kinds of JavaScript frameworks and state management libraries.
Super, super. That's great. Perhaps later on you can put it on Twitter so people can just quickly get the link,
Yeah,
or
I'll
right?
with
That's
a
great.
hashtag of ngVikings.
Yes, and this is probably a good moment to remind the audience that we have the hashtag #BeAViking for you to win a lot of prizes that we have available for you. We have 4 different contests: create your best meme, your best Viking custom, or even where are you coming from? And all right, moving on to the next question. This one is for John Papa. What do you think could be improved on the way we use dependencies on our projects? And package JSON sometimes doesn't have all the answers.
A lot. Dependencies on projects they're a good thing because we need to manage them, but they can also be a source of frustration, especially when you get into optional dependencies, peer dependencies, development dependencies, and runtime dependencies. I try to limit as much as I can the actual runtime dependencies for my projects, because everything you put into runtime actually gets deployed somewhere, and not everything ends up tree shakeable. As Martina and I both love tree shaking, but not everything is tree shakeable. So I try to limit the dependencies as much as I can. Some of this comes down to if there's code out there that I'm using, let's say you're using Lodash or underscore because you like a specific way it does an array manipulation. If that's all I'm using it for, I'll tend to remove that dependency and I will rewrite that code just for myself to manage the array. Because the less dependencies you take, the easier it is to maintain and move forward. The other thing that's really important, though, is you do have to have some dependencies. Make sure you run Npm Audit a lot. I run this all the time on my projects. It's like a ritual that I have. I run Npm Audit. It tells me what's got security bugs in it or out of date. Really important. And Npm Audit Fix will help me fix those most of the time automatically. And if you do this regularly, your projects will stay up to date. Another way to do that is GitHub has a Dependabot. It's an automated bot that will automatically help you fix security updates in your repos. So try to use those two. Really important stuff for dependencies.
Absolutely. If Devlin or Martina want to chime in and say anything, just feel free to grab the mic. And
I have a question to John. Rumors has it that you had birthday yesterday or today?
I did. Yes, yesterday.
So happy belated birthday.
happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice,
yes, my wife found her Twitter app.
And, yeah, exactly.
All right. moving on to the next question. Let me see if I can find one super quick here. Well, people are congratulating John at the moment, so that's good. Everyone is excited. John Papa, what should be the best definition of completion look like? What should the best definition of completion look like? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the definition of done that I talk about. We always say, yeah, I'm done. My kids, when they're done eating in the morning for breakfast, yeah, I'm done. Did you finish your homework? I'm done. What does done mean? And to me, the final signal for done is two things. Have you delivered it? In our case, you've deployed it. And the more important part of that is, are people using it? To me, your app is not done until somebody's actually using the application successfully, because that's really the whole point why we all have jobs. We have jobs so people can use the software we write. So whether you're writing Angular, like the Angular team, and we are the users, or you're writing an application like Disney.com, and then end users are the users. If you can measure that people can actually use your application, to me, that means done.
I like it. Absolutely. All right. We have one last question before we jump into a surprise section called the quiz, but I'll tell you more about it in a second. The last question is for Devlin. Devlin, does GraphQL work better with one state management library over another one?
Okay, so my experience in GraphQL, normally you wouldn't need a state management library, because the caching itself, the caching mechanism in the GraphQL client does, handles for you all the state. So that's my experience. Yeah, you can try, but you'll find yourself doing it too much, or overkilling all your code, and it doesn't make sense to add two different kinds of state management inside a one repo or inside a one application.
Absolutely. In fact, did anybody also in the audience have a feedback, because they all happen to have experience in this? You're also welcome to reply in the comments, because your knowledge is also very valuable to us. So just feel free to participate. I would like to know if maybe the speakers want to, before we just close this section, the panel section, do you have anything to add? Would you like to say something? Would you like to thank the audience? Anything?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming and joining us today on, for me, a Monday morning in America, in the United States. But thank you for joining us all, and thank you for the organizers for shifting to a completely online event. And thank you for Juan for hosting.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I guess there's nothing much to add. Thank you all. I was so sad when ngVikings announced that it got canceled. I was really sad. And then it was just amazing what they did now, and just and founding one of the two of the best MCs, of course. Juan is always a great person to interact with, definitely. And we have so many great speakers over here. It was an honor for me to be there among these all speakers. So thank you all so much.
Anybody notice the Easter egg too of my coffee mug?
No.
There again?
Bergen, Norway. Yes.
Yeah.
Norway.
Yeah, and I even I colored my fingernails.
All right.
And then
I don't have one, but
I'm expecting you to show us a tattoo now.
Good. Devlin, would you like to say some last words?
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you for supporting ngVikings, and hopefully next year we'll be able to meet each other personally. We'll get this through this situation that we're currently having right now. It's totally messing up everything in our world. So yeah, just pray, and then next year everything will be back to normal. We can shake our hands again. We can hug, some hugs, and yeah, that's it.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you all very much. Now we're gonna switch over to another section.